All right, welcome into the Five Guys and the Five Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at Five Reasons Sports. I got Alex Donno. You can follow him at Alex Donno. We'll get to our topic today. We're going to do some predictions. Before we do, I want to mention a great sponsor of the Five Reasons Sports Network. Use Prize Picks. The code is 5, F-I-V-E. Oh,
I'll fix that. Hold on. I can fix that.
It's just a usual Thursday afternoon here. We're good.
Exactly.
No, we got it. That's right. I'll start talking about it. Use the code 5 Prize Picks. It's our daily fantasy partner. Of course, they got their new deal. If you put down $5, they will give you $50 to play right away. I like Lamar Jackson tonight over 1.5 touchdowns. That could be touchdowns rushing or passing. There we go. We got the board. Caleb Williams. Donald took care of it. Caleb Williams, half a passing yard. They got that for the entire season, so you can play that square with anything else. You're going to go to prizepicks.com, use the code 5, F-I-V-E, and you'll not just get that initial deposit match. Literally, you're getting a 10-to-1 match, $50 on top of 5. You can see with what Donald's playing with there, how many categories they have. It's just insane, okay? So you can choose just about anything that you like there. Two is 268.5 passing yards if you're interested right there, if you like that over. And I think Tyreek is at 97.5 receiving yards, I believe. I think that's where he is right now. So again, go to Prize Picks, use the code 5, and get your match today. All right, Alex, let's get right to it. Before we get to tonight's game, and we've got the Ravens and the Chiefs, so a good one tonight. The Dolphins. We had 10 members of the Five Reasons Sports Dolphins team give their predictions of record. And it's everywhere from 9-8 to 12-5. So in that mix, I kind of have him at 11-6. I think that's
me too
enough to win the business. Yeah, and I had him at 11-6 last year too. By the way, I feel like we're kind of in that space. It's just what does the 11-6 convert to? In your world, 11-6 wins in the division.
I think this year, yes. I believe Buffalo, just based on their personnel compared to this year compared to last year, obviously they're going to be good still as long as they have Josh Allen. That's a quarterback that I believe in, but I think their roster has gotten a little bit worse. We are both in lockstep about the Jets being, a little overrated, that New York hype machine. As soon as they get something to latch onto, it's Linsanity. Now it's Aaron Rodgers, right? There's going to be some of that. He's also going to be 41 years old this season, and the Patriots, everyone agrees, are going to be awful and in rebuilding mode this year. So I think this year, I believe 11-6, and of course you're going to have a good division record within that 11-6. But I believe 11-6 can be good enough to win the AFC East, and hopefully you're hosting a playoff game because I think we all know how important that will be. So you don't have to go somewhere like Kansas City and lose limbs because it's so cold out there like some fans did. You don't have to go to a place like Buffalo for a playoff game in January. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think 11-6, and I do believe this year, because I think the Bills have gotten a little bit worse, 11-6 would be enough to win the division.
All right, so let's start here. In your view, the two best teams in the AFC playing tonight?
Yes. Yes. And I think that's evident. First of all, Lamar Jackson is so good, and now he's got Derrick Henry. So there's a whole nother pick your poison element to that offense. And Kansas City, it's like, this is one of those things where, usually you take enough weapons away from a quarterback and it's going to make that quarterback suffer. But Mahomes, he's generational. Like Mahomes is now, I believe he's now this generation's version of Tom Brady, who was that generation's version of Joe Montana. I believe that's what Patrick Mahomes is now. His ability to elevate talent around him. And you could say the same thing about Lamar, because he's also such a dual threat weapon, Lamar Jackson. So I believe it's not only the two best teams in the AFC. Yeah. I would say, Ethan, this to me is probably the best quarterback matchup, at least the most exciting quarterback matchup you can make right now in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think they're the two best teams in the NFL, actually. And I think when you look at the NFC right now, I know people are going to point to San Francisco. Obviously, a lot of talent there. There's some things that they've had to work through this preseason with Ayuk and Williams and others, and kind of who fits in there. I'm not as big a believer in Purdy as some are, but I do think, hey, AKW Beats, thanks for joining. I think we're living in the Mahomes generation now. I think it is sort of like being in LeBron James's Eastern Conference when he was with Cleveland or Miami. And I just think at this stage, it's okay. Who gives you a shot to beat them on a given day? And that is really, I think Lamar does, but we haven't seen it from him in the playoffs. I mean, Lamar is one of those guys that really no questions are going to be answered until he takes them to a Super Bowl and plays his best in those moments. So I'll throw this one at you. Okay, if the two best teams in the AFC are playing tonight, who's the single biggest challenger to those two teams in the AFC?
Ooh. Oh man, I'd like to say the Miami Dolphins, although it wasn't close when Miami met Kansas City in the playoffs last year. But all the Chiefs have done is win Super Bowls in recent years.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it could be the Dolphins when you think about how dynamic Miami's offense is. I still have the same concern now that I had before preseason, and that's the offensive line, their stability and their health, which is a big one. And I believe in the Dolphins defense, though, especially once you get all your pass rushers healthy, which is going to happen at some point during the offseason. I think based on the fact that Miami has something that only a few teams in the NFL has, outside of the two teams that are playing tonight, and that's an ability to change an entire game in one play, right? You talk about the opportunity you have, Tua can connect with Tyreek Hill on a 70-yard bomb on first down after you go down a score. Like the Dolphins have that ability to explode. So, maybe I'm overhyping our lads just a little bit, but I really do think the Dolphins, as long as they can get out of their own way, because like what might have been if they hadn't blown that lead against the Titans last year and they could have been hosting a playoff game instead of playing in Kansas City, where no one was going to win that weekend. Let's be clear. Like nobody was going into Kansas City and beating them that weekend. So who knows what might have been. I'm going to throw the Dolphins hat into the race. What do you think?
I think they should be. I think they should be. And I think that as we look at what they've put together this offseason, a lot of this is going to be dependent on how quickly they pick up this defense and also how many guys are out. Last year, people complain about the Heat, but last year, and I'm talking about the Miami Heat with a capital H. But last year, the Dolphins, these injury reports for the Dolphins were always longer than their opponents. And it is again this week. And now you got the question about Jalen Ramsey. And I just wonder, you're supposed to be better conditioned playing down here than some of the other teams that have to come in here. And yet we do see the Dolphins typically with a longer injury list than other teams. And that concerns me. The offensive line concerns me. I think if you look at the other teams in the AFC, Cleveland, I don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust the quarterback situation. Cincinnati, Burrow doesn't stay healthy. There's talent there. We know that. It was good enough to get a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Pittsburgh, I don't think is going to be very good.
No.
I've mentioned what I think of Buffalo and the Jets. The West, Raiders, the Chargers are going to be pretty bad. That receiving core is horrific. I'm not a Herbert believer. They're kind of in transition here. Denver, I mean, they're trusting a rookie. We do talk about the AFC being better than the NFC, and then when you start to actually break it down, maybe not what you think. I mean, the Colts, Anthony Richardson. Was there going to be a leap there? I don't know. I mean,
I don't trust him. I think he's I don't think he's enough of a passer. Like he's all runway. Like if you ever see Anthony Richardson walking down the street, it's like, oh my God, that guy must be the bbest player in the league. But that doesn't necessarily translate.
And Tennessee, there's talent there too, but the quarterback, I don't know, Levis, is that the guy? And then and then Jacksonville, where I think Trevor Lawrence has been somewhat overrated since he came into the league. So I mean, who am I missing? Like it does seem like there is a path here for the Dolphins, at the very least to be the third best team in the conference. And if that's the case, then if things break right. And there was a point last year where the Dolphins were first in the conference. So, I think that they have things positioned in a way this year where, the division is not what it was. Yes, there's high-end quarterback talent in the conference, particularly the two guys tonight. But, if the injury bug hits one of them, Baltimore's been hit with a lot of injuries over recent years, particularly at the running back position where they had, and that's why we'll see how long Henry holds up. But they should be the third best team in the AFC. Something tells me they won't be, but I kind of feel like they should be. All right, we're going to talk NFC here a little bit. We come back. Do want to mention a great sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We're premature with this, but it's not premature to reach out to them if you have a leak. Water Cleanup of Florida, based in Boca Raton. Michael Robert, his entire team, they will take care of you from start to finish. Also, if there does end up being a problem, they're your one-stop water and mold cleanup shop. They can take care of everything, walk you through the process with your insurance company as well. We talk about them all the time. They're the ones, they bring you full circle through the entire process. South Florida flooding, we know that that's coming. When the rain comes here, particularly in Broward County, downtown, it's bad. So check it out, Water Cleanup of Florida. It's WCUFL.com. Again, that's WCUFL.com. If you've got the schmutz, they got the guts. Is San Francisco clearly the best team in the NFC?
Yeah, they are. And it's just that I respect so much what Kyle Shanahan has done there. And I'm thankful that, Miami's got a head coach that comes from that Shanahan family tree, because I really think that they're so equipped to adapt to the evolution of today's NFL. It's like, I kind of agree with you. Like, how high could you be on Brock Purdy? Like, he's not Tom Brady, although maybe he could be, because Brady was a 6th-round pick and Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, and he's really thrived in that offense. I just feel like that's the type of offense where you can plug, good pieces in even at quarterback, and you're going to thrive in that system. And they do have the talent as well. I'm not implying that San Francisco is not talented. So yeah, I think to me that they're the gold standard in the NFC still, as they've been for the past few years. There's other teams there that I'm not sleeping on. I mean, obviously Philly has found a lot of success in recent years, and I'm actually a Baker Mayfield fan, so I wonder if Tampa can make some moves this year. So, like you said, like when I think about the AFC versus the NFC, I don't know if maybe the NFC is closing the gap a little bit, or at least it feels that way, but I think that's going to be a competitive conference this year.
Yeah, I think Seattle might be decent also. There's a few teams out there. I kind of like Tampa as well.
And Green Bay, everyone's talking about Green Bay's quarterback. They caught fire late in the year last year.
They got an interesting young receiving core, and the defense came around as the year progressed. I mean, Atlanta, their expectations with Cousins there now. There is some peripheral talent. That's a bad division. They can move up. I see a lot of 8 and 9 type teams around the NFL this year. I think there's going to be a lot of parity. I don't think there's a whole bunch of runaway teams. I think the Chiefs, Ravens, and the Niners probably the most equipped to do that. Honestly, I want to be more original here. I kind of see a Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl again. I just do. I just think the Niners' talent outweighs everything else. And again, the Eagles could get back in there, but Hurts has got to get back to the level he was playing at before. Some of their draft picks, they drafted the entire Georgia team over the past couple of years. We'll see how many of those guys can pop now, but I don't know. I think we're in the Mahomes era. I know it's boring. It's not necessarily what the league wants. I think they want parity, but I think they're going to have parity. But then when it gets to the playoffs, it's going to kind of be like last year where Kansas City separates.
Well, I want to ask you a quick question. Because I actually, oddly enough, where I heard this question brought up this morning was actually listening to Sirius XM's college radio, but NFL opener tonight, they're still talking some NFL. Is there some Kansas City Chiefs fatigue, Ethan? Because like when you talk about parity, because again, it's like, and I don't know. So what? Every time I watch a Chiefs game, is it just going to be shots of Taylor Swift in the box 100 times like last year?
No, not if it's true. And there's a signed contract for her to break up with Travis Kelce on September 28th, which has been.
I didn't know that was a thing. Is that a thing?
Apparently, it's a holiday. I'm not really sure. My daughter thinks this whole thing is just a goof, so that she can write another breakup song, which is probably the case. She's not a Swiftie, so that's she goes against it. I think there's some fatigue because I think there is fatigue with greatness. And Mahomes is a tough character to be polarizing. Like, he's likable, but he's a little nerdy. It's kind of like he doesn't have that kind of swagger that Brady had, I think, in that regard. And so, whenever look, it's been said before that it's better to have one team, one player at the top that everybody's shooting for, that the ratings go up when you have a Jordan, when you have a LeBron, when you have a Yankees, when they're good. But I don't know necessarily that you would pick this Kansas City Chiefs outfit as the group for it to be. It doesn't feel like I don't think people hate them as much as they hate the Patriots. There needs to be a natural hatred for a team to be like that. And I don't think they're that. I just think he's inevitable. I just think that you have to. It's like last year they put him at the hardest level of Madden. Like, here, we're going to take away all your receivers, give you no talent to work with. Can you still win a Super Bowl? He did. And now they drafted a receiver in the first round. It's like, okay, now it's like, okay, now we're going to get back to not playing games with anybody else. So we'll see what happens. You and I both have the Dolphins at 11-6. Final thing tonight, as people are entering our Better Edge contest, you like the Ravens or the Chiefs tonight?
I'm going to say Chiefs at home again. Like my Chiefs fatigue would say, hey, I'd like, and the Chiefs had a poor start to the year last year, but I think it's the safe pick. They're going to be raising the banner in Kansas City tonight. I'm going to go Chiefs at Arrowhead, but would it shock me if Baltimore wins? No, but I'm going to take the Chiefs. So they're 3-point favorites tonight if you go by the conventional sports books.
Yeah, they lost to the Lions in this game last year. I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think Lamar has a game tonight, but I still don't think it matters because until he doesn't in the playoffs, nobody's gonna believe it anyway. All right, Thanks to Alex. Thanks to our sponsors. We both have the Dolphins 11-6. When they're 6-11, don't come after us. It ain't our fault. Check out all the other content on the network: Inside Leverage Show, Pulse of Phins Nation, Extra Yard, Final Yard, all kinds of yards. We'll be with you throughout Dolphins season. Have a good one, everybody.